Always give thanks for what you have and for what you have had. Never wish for what you can't have or will never have. Never compare what you have or don't have with what others have or have had. Be grateful for your own life. It's all you have, and it's all you have ever had. Those words came out of me on August 29th, 2014, 28 days after my husband Bill was killed in a plane crash. And I've said them over and over. When I wrote that, I didn't give it thought. It just kind of came out. Well, since then, I've given it a lot of thought. And so I wanted, because I've shared this with a lot of people, kind of anybody who got within arm's reach of me, I gave a copy of this. So I wanted to explain to you its meaning, each line. So, of course, the first line, always give thanks for what you have and for what you have had. I think giving thanks and being thankful for what we've had in the past and for what we currently have is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. I know that to be true, in fact. I simply know that to be true. The next line, never wish for what you can't have or will never have. It might come to a surprise to some of you that I have never once wished for Bill to come back. Never. And the reason for that is that I simply did not have it within me to take more loss and disappointment. And in wishing for something that I couldn't have, it absolutely guaranteed more sadness and more loss and more disappointment. I've had it said to me a number of times, the few people I've shared that with, when I've said, I've never wished for him to come back, they've said, well, that's a natural thing to do. It's just a normal thing to do. Well, for me, if that's the normal human condition, it's incredibly flawed, because in wishing for things we can't have or will never have, we guarantee disappointment, we guarantee heartache. And I have to back up a little. The day he died, the night, the late afternoon, early evening, when I got back home to the house, I was up on the hill and I was looking down, and I asked God for a do-over. I said to him, and it sounds so silly now, but this is the truth. I said to him, in the movie Men in Black, they had a way of undoing people's memory. And I told God, I said, if they could do that in Hollywood, you surely can do that now, because you've made a grand mistake. This is a big, big mistake. And I need Bill to be back with me, or I need to be with him, one or the other. I gave him the choice. How big of me, I gave him the choice. And so I asked for a resurrection. I asked for God to erase the memory of Bill's death, and that he would have survived, and I could care for him. And that didn't happen. So, in truth, there was the one time, probably 8 hours, or I don't even know, I don't know, hours after Bill died, I did ask for him to come back, but that was not to be, because his day came. So when I said that, never wish for what you can't have or will never have, that's a gift you must give yourself. That's a gift, because why on earth would the human condition want to inflict more pain on itself when you're already at such a low point? And even just in everyday life, why wish for things? I'm 5'2". When I was younger, I always wanted to be tall, like my girlfriend Carol. I always wanted to be tall because I love clothes, and you can just wear clothes so much better when you're tall. You can look stately and lovely in clothes. And at 5'2", not so much. So I was young and dumb, and I don't wish to be taller now. I don't wish that, and I don't wear heels so high that if I fall, I'm going to break an ankle, because I might. I am what I am. I am so I am, like Popeye said. So I have learned, and please let me gift you that, and please accept that gift. do not ask for things you can't have. There were times when some individuals, and I'm sure in kindness and in their broken hearts, they wished that Bill would have died in a different way. And that's, to me, that's the same thing. That's wishing for something that you can't have. And then the next step is acceptance, accepting what you can't have. And that's where people, I think, so often get stuck in mourning, because they keep wishing for something they can't have. They keep wishing for that. And it's folly. It's absolute folly. And it's exhausting, and it only guarantees you disappointment. So in acceptance, you don't wish for what you can't have. The next line is, never compare what you have or don't have with what others have or have had. Now, I always thought Bill and I would get very old together, and I always thought I would die first. I just did. I've always had, goofy health stuff, and he was always so healthy and strong, and and I think there would be a temptation to see long marriages and want to say, oh, I wish Bill and I could still be together and have a long life together. Well, that's doing two things. One, it's wishing for something that I can't have. And two, it's comparing, I'm making a comparison with what others have. So it's kind of a double whammy there. I will say in that line, never compare what you have or don't have with what others have or have had. I will say, I believe the exception to that is when you see somebody and you admire them for some reason, or you see somebody, even just with a really lovely home or whatever, and when you, in my mind, when you see that and you compare, you look at yourself and you go, oh, I don't have that, I wish I had that. That's a different thing to me, because that's something you could have. That's something, if you worked hard, you're careful with your money, you could have a lovely home. So when I say never compare what you have or don't have with what others have or have had, I mean that namely in the context of things that you can't have, that things that you will never have, like comparing a long marriage. And I have to say, in all honesty, one time I was at a funeral. I think I will not say who it was, but this couple had been married 70, I want to say 2 years. He was well into his 90s. And I said to his widow, I envy you that you had so much time together. First time I've ever said it. And I meant it at the time. And I don't know, it came out of me. I was very surprised that it came out of me, to be honest. I was very, very surprised. And I genuinely meant it. Envy is not such a good thing. I think it would have been bigger of me to say, I'm so thankful you had all those years with your husband. I'm so thankful. And just had let it end at that. I won't make that mistake again. I won't say that again where I say I envy that, because, envy is not a good thing. And that was an unusual thing. I was pretty emotional, and it just came out, and that was at my fault. So the next line is, be grateful for your own life. It's all you have, and it's all you have ever had. And that one gets to people, I think, or that one, I think I lose people on that. And again, with every truth, there's an exception. And so to me, the exception is faith. As long as we have freedom of religion in this country, and I hope and think we still do, that faith can't be taken from me or you or anyone. And so being grateful for your own life, because it's just you. Bill it was never his job to make me happy. It was never my job to make him happy. We chose to do that because we loved each other, and there was nothing that gave me more joy than to have him be happy, and I believe vice versa. On my website, juliewhitlatch.com, shameless plug there, it's called Whitlatch Words, there's a page called Free Trade Agreement. And in that free trade agreement, I talk about how in the very, very best relationships, each party feels like they're getting the better end of the deal. And that's how I think it was with Bill and I. I always thought, it's like, wow, how did this happen? How did this happen? And I'm not saying marriage doesn't work. I'm not saying that at all. We were just, it just worked. It just did work. But it still, as we molded into one, as we molded into Bill and Julie, Julie and Bill, as long as that unit, those two beings were together, it held solid. But what was I to do after he died? I thought I was to die too. I thought that for about a year, so I could be with him and still be Bill and Julie, Julie and Bill. That was not meant to be. I kept waking up. And so when I say be grateful for your own life, it's all you have and it's all you have ever had, that's not quite true, because for a while I was Bill and Julie, Julie and Bill. I was a different being. I was truly, truly a different being than before I knew Bill and since I've known Bill. And by the way, I am certainly not the same being I was before our 29 years together. I have not reverted back to who I was when Bill met me. I'm becoming something so totally different that I don't even know who the holy heck I am. But I'm learning. I'm discovering that, and it's my responsibility to be grateful for my own life. It's my responsibility to define what that life is, to define who I am, and it's only my responsibility. The time we had together certainly, oh my goodness, certainly has formed and forever. I talked one other day about tattoos. Bill is forever tattooed on me, forever, through my heart and soul, forever and ever. But for you widows, or you empty nesters, anybody who's experienced loss, I think what, of course you mourn the loss of that being, but I think what we find especially hard is we no longer are who we thought we were, because that's, Bill and Julie, Julie and Bill is no more. So it's all, my own life is all I've had, and it's all I've ever had. I've reverted back to that, and I'm just discovering who I am. And I'm thankful for every new day. I am so thankful for the time I had with Bill. And I'm kind of excited to discover who I am becoming, who I will be. I go back to two words with me, and it's ancient and new. And I'm starting anew. And I thank you for listening. I love you. I hope that helps somebody, those little words that came to me August 29th, 2014. And I will be talking to you again. Thank you. Love you. Goodbye.